We had a discussion.
She holds the fort down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had a good career.
Yeah. We went to,
Cut inside, see what it looks like.
No more marching.
On July 4th, 2015, the 1972 Hill High Spartan Band met for their 43rd reunion. Carl Gutmann was asked to explain how the European tour to the International Band Festival in Vienna, Austria came about. Following are the highlights of that speech.
Concert over there, but they said that, the United States had so many fine high school bands, and a lot of the world didn't really ever know how good they were. They maybe some of them heard about them, but we would like to show off a little bit what our country has. And anyway, they came to the idea of having a big festival someplace, and eventually somehow Vienna came up as a name, and of course Vienna, as people all know, is a really important music capital in Europe, has been for forever, it seems like. And so they decided, we'll see if we can maybe get Vienna to somehow host it. And over a period of years, they worked this thing out, and then they put together a team of people that were going to do the research in the U.S. to find out who the top bands were around the country. And there were only 3 of them. A lot of the contacts were made by those 3 people. And somebody will have to help me out. I can't even, my memory is going in details, at least with names, but I can't think of the name of the University of Michigan fellow that you all Ravelli. Yeah, Dr. Ravelli happened to be the one that saw us. And he had toured, as he did many years, being a director of honor bands and all Northwest and all those kind of things that they have for the finer players in the high school programs. And he worked his way around. I don't know where all he went, but he was assigned and he got out to the West Coast. And he was at Portland State, and he was auditioning, he was talking about who are the good bands around here. And he stopped at University of Oregon. Well, now that was great for me because that's where I graduated. And the people at University of Oregon had a great deal of respect for the program that Hillsborough had. And they must have really filled his ear. And we had some recordings. In fact, they had a recording down there somehow. I don't know how it came about. And I think he even heard that maybe. But he heard us play for something at Portland State. It was some kind of a competition, and I don't remember what it was, but it was...
Would that have been like Stephanie's years? That was before...
It was before your years. About 3 years, maybe no more than 4 years, but I think about 3 years before the Vienna group. And we had worked on a particularly difficult number, kind of like the big one that we did in Vienna that you just heard on the recording. And I thought we really did a heck of a job at Portland State, really played it well. And we were fortunate, he was there and heard it. And so anyway, that's kind of how it came about, is through Dr. Ravelli. He recommended and put our name in the pot then. And they had about, somebody, as I recall, said that they had about 20 bands. And of course they couldn't have that many over there because this was going to be for the Europeans too, and it would be open to anybody in Europe, which could be in, how big Europe is. And the Far East could, if Russia wanted to send a group, they could. It was really, truly an international band festival. And there was a lot of debate on whether it should be a judged thing or not, and how they would do that, and how to make awards and not cause a problem, with bad feelings. But anyway, I thought they did it pretty well. I don't think there were any really bad feelings at all, because there were a number of other countries that got some good recognition there, and they had some fine groups too. But that's really how we got there. And that combined with the fact that my wife Charlene and I and my family had spent a year over there in 1963-64 school year with the University of Oregon. At that time, I shouldn't say this, but at that time, the university was trying to get me to come down there and teach. And the salaries were so poor. Really, they were. The salaries were so poor that, and for that year, and this applies directly to you people, is that I felt that if I ever had a chance to really push and develop a band that would be really special, this would be it, because of the tour and the honor and everything. And so we kind of gave it everything we had that year. And boy, you kids sure gave it back. You responded, and I think we put together, well, there's no question at all, it was the best performing band I ever had in the years that I taught. But we had a good reason. When I hear that recording, and I play it once in a while at home, I have a couple of discs here, and I have kind of worn one out, but there's another one yet that I'm keeping in reserve. And some people have heard that and said, I'll never believe it, that was a high school band. And there's some people that really know music that said those kind of things too. And they had no reason to say anything that was phony. They had everything. Well, it was a good band. There's just no question. It was a really outstanding band. We accomplished some really great things that year. And I'll never forget it. It was the peak of my career. And I had other good years, but that one topped them all. So, and thank you kids for doing it. You're not kids.
I want to know where you all were in Berlin at 2 a.m. Thank chaperones Charlene and Carl Gutman, Art and Terry Iwasaki, Al and Barbara Deck, and a special thank you to the Hill High Spartan Marching Band, Hillsborough community, and the generous donor that made the trip a reality. To most of the traveling entourage, this trip was the greatest adventure that they have ever experienced back in 1972, and to many, the 20-year reunion was the next most memorable experience in their lives. Until our next get-together, we bid a fond Auf Wiedersehen to all. Thanks, Carl.